sometimes living righteously is viewed as something we can realize, something we can maintain and carry out if just we have the proper amount of information or the right amount of motivation. We can do it. I just need to be motivated in the right way, or I just need to know the steps. And I think this is the way that the Pharisees operated. That righteousness was a matter of fulfilling certain steps. But then when certain variables came about, they had to add sub-steps and sub-steps to achieve that first step. For them, this demand of holiness for the Pharisees, and I would say often for us, it was achievable because they had lessened the law to something keepable. But in that, when Jesus comes preaching grace, it is suddenly so overwhelming. And for them, they have to reorient what that means, this idea of favor. For them, this grace was nothing more than just a plaster from heaven that filled in the gaps of their already righteous lives. You can see how demeaning that would be for a God who comes and says, I am the God of all grace. And actually to declare that, well, as the Pharisees perhaps did, was nothing but an utter denial of what Jesus was aiming to do. Because I think what we see throughout this sermon and throughout Jesus' whole gospel ministry is that he wasn't some heaven-sent mason who comes to apply this divine cement in our already ordered lives. Jesus is heaven's incendiary who comes to demolish any certain form where we believe we are fulfilling the righteousness of the law in ourselves. He comes to demolish that, to drop an H-bomb on the idea that we can fulfill this righteousness that's required. He says, not possible. No one's keeping it. No one's living up to it except me. Jesus is the one that lives up to this standard completely, not a diminished one, not a smaller one. All the way, he lives up to this specific standard of righteousness. And this specific standard of righteousness is what is given to you by faith. This is the gospel. The good news of a fulfilled law. It culminates at that cross on the Mount of Calvary, where this Jesus comes and accomplishes that which we could never accomplish in ourselves by precisely bearing what we deserved. We deserve to bear in and of ourselves. That punishment of the cross, that place where divine wrath and judgment was poured out on sin. He took that. He steps in our place and takes that and thereby realizes this redemption for sinners. Because he says, it is complete. Or more accurately, from the Gospel of John, it is finished. That was his cry as he bled out from that cross. And as his blood mixes with the mud at the base of Golgotha's cross, all righteousness was completed, finished, and fulfilled. It was there, said, and done. This